So let's have some fun. Yeah, because look, we're kind of closing out the show for this season, and I want to get some things locked in so we can use them as clips and ammo for next year. Yeah. So as much as this year was by far one of the most interesting seasons of all time, I'm going to come to you with some scenarios, some head-to-heads, and I want to just hear your breakdowns. And I'm going to come to individually some of you, and I know some of you are going to want to chirp into others. So Mo, I haven't given you the Celtics one. But I want to hear your matchups for who you think is going to go further out of the two teams that I'm mentioning. So, Ovie, I'm going to come to you first. Yeah? Let's start off with a team that you classified as one of the most disappointing teams in terms of the LA Clippers. New head coach, Ty Lue. Yeah, fundamentally, they have all of the same sort of pieces the same. But they're going to go against a sleeping lion who's patiently waiting in the Golden State Warriors, who, of course, have all of their core coming back. Incredible backcourt shooting, we know. And the foundation is all the same. So, Ovie, who's going to go further? The Warriors or the Clippers?
You know what? I can see the Warriors going further. I say that just off chemistry. I don't know how, obviously, the Clippers falling short of their goals this year has affected that team as far as chemistry-wise. So whether they bring guys back or not, I definitely feel like that's going to be a factor. And if they do run into any trouble early on in the season, I think that can definitely have some effects in the locker room also. So we're still yet to see what kind of changes they're going to make. But for me, man, I think the Warriors, the culture they have there, they have, a healthy locker room. And obviously with those two huge pieces coming back and a top draft pick, I definitely feel like they'll be able to make some noise. It'll be good to have the Splash Brothers back.
That's an interesting pick. Even VJ's smiling, and Mo's face doesn't give anything away in terms of any argument. Yeah, he's keeping things amicable. Gentlemen, if you have anything that you want to turn around and jump on afterwards, please just write it down. Make sure you get your points in afterwards. Yeah, I will make sure just so the man can get their points in for afterwards. But BJ, I want to come to you next with the Battle of Texas. Look, neither team likes to defend. Two historically great offensive outfits. But at this stage, probably at different stages of their franchise direction. But in a packed West, who's going to do better? The Mavs or the Rockets?
Well, I think you threw me a softball. You threw me an easy one. The Dallas Mavericks, without question. I mean, Luka is ready. Now he's ready. I thought he earned his stripes this year. He took on, the physicality of the game, and he did it ahead of schedule. The Dallas Mavericks this year had an opportunity to play in the playoffs, and they had an opportunity to compete at the highest level, and they were able to experience and have a positive experience, minus Porzingis, for the most part, because he was injured doing that that stretch when against the LA Clippers. So I'm really comfortable with saying I think the Dallas Mavericks this year, this is an important offseason this year and next summer for them, because they are in position to really, I think, attract a big time player. I think they are in position because Luka Doncic, as I said, guys, earlier, he's a top 5 player now. He can score. He has the mental capacity to play the game with the toughness that's necessary, and he can get things done. So I think if I'm a star player and I'm not happy in my current situation, he would be a player that I would look to play with. And you put a star player, a top 10 player around him, now you're talking about doing something special. So I think the Dallas Mavericks are in a great position. I love their numbers as far as their cap situation, and they have an opportunity really to do something and be very attractive to a top tier player in this league that could really propel them for, the next 5 to 7 years and really make a run at this.
Knicks, take notes. This is what happens when you build around a young core. But look, Mo, let's flip to the East. Yeah, it's an interesting variable for you because I've got the Bucks on one side coming out of the red corner, proven regular season team, best record over the last 2 seasons. In the blue corner, I've got a Brooklyn team who have a Hall of Fame point guard now running their team, and 2 offensive superstars leading that team in Kyrie and KD. Who's going to do better, the Nets or the Bucks?
That's tough to say because we've not seen the Nets actually play. But I'm going to give this one to the Milwaukee Bucks. Reason being, they simply have to do better, because if they don't, Giannis is then a free agent. And, this is really the make or break season for the Milwaukee Bucks franchise. So they're going to have to do whatever it takes to keep him. And I think this season and the way they went out to the Miami Heat, I hope at least, they've learned a lot of lessons on things that they need to work on and changes that need to be made. And, the other thing that worries me about the Brooklyn Nets is, Kyrie Irving is very talented, but we've seen, what happened in previous seasons with him and his teammates. They didn't get along too well. Even this season, when the Nets started winning when he wasn't playing, he came out and he was doing interviews saying we need to get more pieces, even though Spencer Dinwiddie was leading his team to dubs with Kyrie out injured. So then you've got Kevin Durant coming back, and, he's coming off an injury, but I'm not too concerned. He's one of the most talented scorers I've ever seen in my life. And, he's an undeniable talent. But if we're putting these two teams head to head, and you could pick any player in the league to guard Kevin Durant, you're picking the 7-foot defensive player of the year in Giannis Antetokounmpo. So, I don't know if KD will be able to dominate. If it's those two going head to head in the Eastern Conference Finals, and you've got Giannis guarding him, I can't think of any better player in the league that I would rather have guarding Kevin Durant. So, also defense worries me with Steve Nash being the head coach. I don't know how that's all going to work out. So I've got to give it to the Bucks, because as you were saying, Dallas making themselves a very attractive destination. And, we could have a little European link-up over there in Dallas, man. I'd love to see it.
Okay, say no more. BJ, because you're a great basketball mind, I want to give you this next one. Yeah, this is an interesting Eastern Conference matchup that I feel like we watched this year with 2 of the best minds in terms of head coaches, and Brad Stevens versus Nick Nurse. Yes, I am talking about the Raptors or the Celtics. Looking at the depth, who do you actually see going further out of those 2 outfits next season?
Celtics. I get the Celtics. The Raptors are in a very. They're also another team that is in a very unique situation because of the age of their players. There's a great possibility they may lose Serge Ibaka, they may lose Marc Gasol. They may lose Kyle Lowry this year just because of their age, not because they're not good players, because of their age. At some point, they're going to have to get younger to be able to compete and begin to look at the future and let these young guys develop and be the players that they all think they can become. So, I think Fred VanVleet will be signed this offseason, if not this offseason, next, depending on what he's going to do as far as financially. And then I think Masai, the president there, is going to have to look to get younger. He's just going to have to get younger, and that means he's going to have to allow some of those older players that I just mentioned to move on, not because they're not good players, it's because they don't meet the timeline that's necessary to build a team. So I think the Celtics are in a position this year to really do something and do something special, provided they have an offseason where they can address their most critical position. They need to really figure out what they're going to do at the center position. I think they need that one player who can play what we call vertical basketball, who can defend at the rim and can finish over the top of the defense if they're going to take the next step. They need that one player who can give them something or an ingredient that they currently don't have. Everything else I love about this team, they have athletic ability, they have scores, they have toughness, but they don't have that vertical player who can play in the center position, who could really change the game when they play against bigger, stronger, more athletic players.
Mo, I've left this one off for you on purpose because I like this one and I want to hear your take on this one. Look, my biggest disappointment in the bubble was this Philadelphia 76ers. But they have a new direction now. Yeah, Doc Rivers is the head coach. 2 new stars, can be revitalized behind Glenn Rivers. Yeah, we have to give him his proper name at this moment in time. So, look, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons with the Philadelphia 76ers, and now Doc Rivers versus the biggest surprise of last year in some people's eyes, the Miami Heat, the cultural setters that is down in South Beach. So you tell me, who's going to go further? The 76ers or the Heat?
Man, now the obvious choice here would be the team that made it to the NBA Finals rather than the team that got swept away in the first round. But having said that, I'm going to throw a wild card here and say the 76ers. Reason being, the Heat, they're going to lose Dragic, who is their leading scorer in the playoffs. Or they can re-sign him, but he's a free agent. I personally don't think he'll stay. He might, but you never know. And the thing is now, the Heat caught a lot of teams by surprise. I don't think anyone was expecting Tyler Herro to be able to go off for 30 points in the playoffs. I don't think anyone expected Duncan Robinson to have such a great season. I don't think people expected Kendrick Nunn to come out like this. I just think that teams are going to be better prepared for the Miami Heat. You know, they're going to be, you know, oftentimes when you win a championship, there's an X marked under your name on the calendar. That team's all gearing up. But I think teams in the East are going to be looking at Miami the same way coming into this season now. They've made themselves a target. I don't know if they'll be able to replicate what they've done. Now, with the Sixers, I've got a little bit of hope there because, you know, what I can see with making Doc Rivers your coach is even if you want to play Ben Simmons at the point guard spot before, Doc Rivers has won a championship with a point guard who didn't shoot threes because back in 2008, Rondo didn't shoot any threes. You know, so if you're taking it in terms of that comparison, and then you're talking about a big man who can even shoot from the perimeter in the way that Kevin Garnett did in 2008. I'm not saying that I'm comparing the two. I'm just saying the role that they're going to be asked to do. You've got Joel Embiid, who can score on the block and from the perimeter as well. Now, what they need to address is their lack of shooting. If they can address their lack of shooting and maybe get another ball handler to help out Ben Simmons, then I see them doing much better than they did this season. Because, you know, they've got two. We're talking about how good it is to have LeBron and AD on the same team. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid are both all-star talent players. We just need Embiid to stay healthy and Ben Simmons to just play with a little bit more confidence and get that jump shot going a little bit. And I feel like they can cause some serious problems for teams.
I like that. Did you hear, BJ? Did you hear that? That was support for Doc Rivers.
Yeah. I'm huge.
That was support for Doc Rivers from Mo Mooncey. You know. Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
Make sure I get that clip there. That's a hot take. That's a hot take.
I'm saying it's potential, though. I'm saying if I was in charge of Philly, it could happen. I'm not saying it will happen. You know, I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know.
There he's going. Going back.
I don't know if this man's gonna go give Montrezl Harrell another 35 minutes a game when he should be playing someone else. I don't know if he's gonna do what he did this year with the Clippers, but that remains to be seen. But I'm just saying they've got the pieces there. Whatever meal he makes with those ingredients, that's up to him. You know, I'm just giving you the Gordon Ramsay. I'm giving you what the dish should be. No, I'm not cooking it. So that's up to Doc.
Ovie, close me out, yeah, because I've got two now what I would call the comeback kings in this bubble. I loved what the Blazers were able to do, reintegrating those big men back down in Portland. They really added something to that backcourt as well with Dame and CJ. And then you look at the growth on the flip side of the Nuggets. You've seen Jamal Murray, you've seen Jokic, and that young core is going to be a problem for many, many seasons to come. So who is your tip for next year? The Nuggets or the Blazers?
I got Nuggets, man. I got the Nuggets. I just think with a superstar like Jokic, the way he plays, the way he's able to, make plays for his teammates, basically they can run the offense through the five man, which is something you don't see. You don't see that very often, you know, and they can run the offense comfortably. And with the emergence of the young cat, he played extremely well in the playoffs. I forget his name. Name's just got out of my head. But with the emergence of some of their young players, I think they're going to be a problem next season. You know, guys gaining more confidence. I think the bubble was definitely a confidence booster for a lot of young guys because you're not dealing with fans. You're really it's almost like playing a scrimmage behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was a huge confidence booster for some of those guys. But not to say that I don't feel like Portland would do well. I do feel like they'll come back and do well. But I just feel like the Nuggets they're onto something. They're onto something. I can see the Portland Trailblazers going to the playoffs again and you know, maybe running into some issues. But, you know, I feel like Denver could maybe be a dark horse.